Specifically, what is it that you are trying to do? And right now you might have something that's relatively descriptive, but by the end of the day you'll see how a very focused answer that gets your value proposition across can help people to choose you and help align your organization. The first thing is, who here has the need to win? Does anyone here like winning? Okay, so if you've got that need to win and you know this company's name, now's your chance to impress 1,000 new friends. Guess the company as soon as you know it. Here's your first clue from their website. Blank has been turning creative ideas into breakthroughs for well over a century. Microsoft, Apple, 3M, AT&T. Okay, next thing, they invented grammar checkers. Any other guesses? IBM. They invented electronic dictionaries in 1985. Webster. Wikipedia. They invented the laptop word processor in 1989. IBM, Hewlett-Packard. They invented PDAs in 1994. Apple? The answer is Smith Corona, the best typewriter company in the world. And that's a title that they still keep today. Smith Corona is really interesting because why didn't they reinvent into the wonderful world of computing? Well, at first it seems like an oversight, but when we put ourselves in the shoes of their managers, you'll see a lot of the decisions they made were rational and similar to what we might make today. So for the first thing I wanted to do, I went to their website to do a little bit of research. And that was funny because they have a website. In addition to that, here's a screenshot from their site. On the 8th day, God created Smith Corona. How many people knew that? Yeah, a little bit new too. Well, what would lead a company to assume God created them? Well, if you're going to put that on your website, you'd first have to be defunct and not really care what's on your website. But also, Smith Corona had a 100-year history of identifying new opportunities and then reinventing based on them. From the first typewriter with upper and lowercase characters, first portable typewriter, first portable electric, first word eraser, first personal word processor. They knew how to identify opportunity and reinvent. So why didn't they? Well, the next piece of information is that Smith Corona's revenues in '89 were still growing. They had $500 million in sales. So they're big, they're growing, and guess what? If one of those little computer companies take off, we can just buy them. We're bigger, we own the customer. Next piece of information. Remington Rand invented the typewriter. They were Smith Corona's biggest competitor. And in 1975, they got into the world of computing with a big, nasty computer like that. But by 1981, they declared bankruptcy. The lesson for Smith Corona, if you move too quickly, you could lose your shirt. Next, how many people recognize a nasty old computer like that? Yeah! That's a Commodore 128. That has 2 external floppy drives and a blue screen monitor. Boom! How do I get one of those? In comparison, this is the Smith Corona PWP-40. It has spell check, search and replace. You can save on a disk. In many ways, this is like a laptop 10 years ahead of its time, but with a printer built inside of it. So, now think about who your biggest customers are. They're multinational corporations, governments. Which one do you think they want? Do they want the computer box machine thing? Or do they want a better version of what they already buy from Smith Corona? So we keep making typewriters. But $500 million turns out to be a lot of money. I know this. My background is as a chartered financial analyst. If you put all that money in one room, I think it would be a lot. And so someone decided to try a joint venture, and Smith Corona did. They got into a partnership with Acer and started building computers. But just 1 year after that happened, they decided to kill the deal. And I don't have to tell you what happened to Smith Corona, even though God invented them, but I will read to you the quote from the CEO. He said, "Many people believe that the typewriter and word processor business is a buggy whip industry, which is far from true. There is still a strong market for our product in the United States and the world." CEO G. Lee Thompson, which is even a good name for like an old school badass type company, you know? Smith Corona declared bankruptcy for the very first time in 1995. Acer went on to become the 4th largest PC company in the world. The point is that situational framing dictates the outcome of your creative process. Smith Corona wanted to be the world's best typewriting company, and they are. But with what they did, if they wanted to be everywhere that humans were recording thought, if they had a broader mandate, They would have had to be in computing. Here's an interesting list. Disney, CNN, MTV, Hyatt, Burger King, FedEx, Microsoft, Apple, Texas Instrument, 20th Century Fox, Gillette, AT&T, IBM, Merck, Hershey, Eli Lilly, Coors, Bristol Myers, Sun, Amgen, Autodesk, Adobe, BMC, Electronic Arts, Fortune Magazine, GE, and Hewlett-Packard. Each of these companies was founded during a period of economic recession. Crisis creates opportunity because in these times, consumers still buy things, but they change the definition of what it is they need. They start to evaluate what's important. They look to substitute products. In the world of meetings, they look at other events. Yeah, they have to go to their association event, but now what value do I get from something new? Your competitors with their events are trying different tactics and techniques to engage their audience. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. And I'll give you one example. I'll talk about Fortune magazine from that list. Fortune was founded just 4 months after the 1929 Wall Street crash. The price was $1 an issue, which was the same price as a wool sweater back in the day. But despite that, during the Great Depression, they grew their subscriber base to 500,000 people, and they made $7 million in modern-day profit. The reason isn't that it was a luxury publication during a bad time. It's that people lost their jobs in 1929 and the 30s because of the decisions that were made behind the boardroom doors in Manhattan, for the first time in history, really. Fortune offered a glimpse into what was happening behind those boardroom doors. Fortune was an answer to a new consumer need. So really, it's about trying things different and identifying those new opportunities. Here's an example. Broadcast TV is being challenged by viral videos. Newspapers by blogs. TrendHunter.com is just a blog in a way, but we get more traffic than most newspapers. CDs, the revenue model there is being challenged by concerts. Stores, e-commerce, ads, shockvertising. That's your quick way to viral on YouTube. America, China. New York, Moscow. Men, women. Libraries, Wikipedia, doctors, nurse practitioners, accountants, quick tax, lawyers, legal forms online, and photography by photoshopping. These are actually the trends that are toppling corporate America, and yet we all know about them. So why don't we take the initiative to do something about them?